Good afternoon, everybody. Today I'm joined with George Paspalas from Meg Silver. We're having Meg Silver on because the company recently put out earnings where they demonstrated quite a bit of cash flow as a result of their minority interest in the Juanicipio Mine, which is operated by Fresnillo. The Juanicipio Mine, folks, has incredible silver grades that they're mining currently, and the ASIC per ounce of silver is south of $5 an ounce. So we could see how this investment has given the company some pretty strong earnings. In this interview, we discuss the price of silver and where George thinks it could be heading, as well as the impact that the new president in Mexico, Claudia Sheinbaum, could have on the mining industry. And we get into what investors in Meg Silver can expect from the company now that they're building up quite the war chest in terms of their cash position. All right, everybody, enjoy the interview. George, thanks so much for joining us today.
My pleasure, Steve.
So silver has had a pretty good year, I think it's fair to say. We were talking to CEOs of silver juniors a year ago, and to use the term depressing when silver was trading at $18 would probably be a bit of an understatement. Some of these juniors, they get themselves involved with assets that have ASICs, north of $24, $25. $18 silver when you've got an operating mine is not really good news. But we've seen silver pull back a little bit here especially since Trump got elected. What's your read right now on the silver market? What are the things that are going through your head?
Look, I don't think anything's really changed in the silver market. And I'm sure you ask most people who sort of live in that silver market, everyone will tell you the same thing. The silver market has been in 6 successive years of deficit. This will be another one. Next year's forecast to be another one. At some time, something has to give. And, we see increasing demand. For those 6 years and going forward, demand will outstrip supply of silver. Now, I'm an engineer. I'm not an economist, but I remember those curves somewhere in school, supply and demand and the effect on price. And while silver has had a good run, I don't really think we've seen where silver will get to. I think we'll only see that when the paper contracts on silver trading evaporate and Elon Musk goes to the warehouse to get some silver bars for his technology, and guess what? There's no silver there. And that's where I think silver will really have its day. But look, at Mag Silver, the Juanicipio project, mine, not a project, that we operate with Fresnillo PLC, they're the operator actually. Our ASIC for the third quarter was $3.28. Year to date, we're below $5 per ounce of silver sold. So look, we want silver to be as high as it can, but we make a bucket load of cash at $18.
Yeah.
We're doing very well now at 30, 31, and this will continue into the future.
Why is your ASIC so cheap? Like, we're talking to companies that, like $15 to $25 that trade as juniors. You guys are like just remarkably below that. Why is it just because you guys have such high grade?
That's probably the biggest factor. Our grade's averaging, around 500 grams per ton for the year. We increased our grade guidance, right, from 420 to 460 grams per ton silver. I think the average grade in the silver industry is 125 to 150 grams per ton, right? So you've got a 4-time multiple, 3-time multiple on top of that. We also have other metals in what we process. We have gold, we have lead, we have zinc. And the revenues from those contribute to lowering our operating cost. So it's a rather unique project. Extraordinarily high grade, pretty respectable mining costs, right? We're around $110 to $120 per ton, all in site costs. We have 15 years of mine life in reserves. We have probably another 15 in resources that we know of, and who knows what we've got left, right? Every time we drill around where we're mining, we're finding structures, expanding known structures, finding new structures. And as good as this asset is, right? Think about tier one, probably, I won't say the best, one of the best margins in the business for silver, operating margin, hence huge potential to generate cash flow. We've only explored 5% of the property. Right? We have a 7-kilometre wide by about 16, 17 kilometres long property sitting in one of the best location addresses for silver in the world, the Fresnillo Trend. And we're delivering what we're delivering after 5% of exploration on the property. So we're also a very prospective exploration story on that property where we've deployed the capital, built underground infrastructure, built a processing facility.
Okay, so you guys have this asset, Juanicipio, that's clearly just it's an outlier in the world of silver mining. How how did you guys end up with your stake in this company? What's the original story of how Meg Silver ended up with this position in this asset?
Well, back in 2003, this particular property came out of a Mexican government lottery, and our chief exploration officer at the time, I think he was the director of MAG, Peter McGaw, he really liked the property, and he finally got that. We IPO'd in 2003 with the principal asset being the Juanicipio property. We came on, we had a different theory to people in the past who had looked at the property. And hole one, JI001, the very first hole we drilled on the property was a discovery hole in the Juanicipio vein. So it's a real Cinderella story, right? And we continued to drill, and then we stepped out to a really good looking structure and we drilled that in 2015 on the 16th hole on the property, and we found the Valdecanes vein, which is actually the heart of the system. And the rest is history. Now, you know, MAG's churning out really good press releases. It's a bit like the current market where there wasn't a lot of interest. It was difficult as a very junior exploration company to raise money. And Fresnillo, who are in the area, obviously, they came over and said, "Hey, we like what we're seeing here. Would you consider a earn-in?" And we did an earn-in. They earned into 56% of the property in the operatorship, and MAG's 44, and there you go. The rest is history.
Wow. So what kind of mine life is left at Juanicipio?
I don't know, generation or two.
Okay.
We don't know. We released a technical report in March of this year where we released our first reserves, and that's a 15-year mine life. But also we referenced the inferred resources around that reserve package, and there's another 15 years there. And you know, the conversion rate of resources to reserves in this area is like 90% or better. And we've seen that historically when we've converted resources to reserves at this particular deposit. So what makes it unique, right? It's a unique asset. And what makes it unique is that Valdecanes vein, what I call the heart of the system, it sits on top of what's called a fluid upwelling zone. So every geologist wants to find one of these in their career. It's where the metals came from deeper down into the earth, closer to the surface to be mined. And anything permeable will be mineralized around Valdecanes. And that's why, if you have a look on our corporate presentation, we show some graphics where you see, yeah, there's Valdecanes vein, but then there's parallel structures, and then there's cross-cutting structures. It's because this is the source of metals for this system. So that's why I say I don't know the mine life, because you know it's a function of how much we drill. But like I said, we've got 20, 30 years comfortably in front of us. We don't need to drill too much other than converting resources to reserves at the moment. More importantly, what we want to do is step out away from this beautiful upwelling zone We believe there's 3 more on the property, but we don't know. And test some new targets to find new areas to mine. Now, why this is important, during the course of the development of Juanicipio, we got to a point at the end of 2021 where we were ready to start the plant up. And the power regulator in Mexico said, "We're not ready. There's a problem with your installation." And we said, "Well, we've installed it to how you've designed it. We've installed it to the design that you've approved. Well, we've changed our mind. We had to wait a year." During that year, we're a single asset. During that year, with the plant not running, we made $120 million of operating cash flow because our partner, Fresnillo, has 2 mines, processing facilities adjacent, and they had a little bit of extra capacity, so we put stuff through there. So why we're motivated to have new big discoveries is we have the capacity here to maximize the Juanicipio plant, but also the ability to put material through the Fresnillo plants and get side stream cash flow. Very accretive, very minimal capital deployment.
So I got to ask, and I don't know if you're willing to answer this on camera, but does Fresnillo ever sort of have those conversations with you about buying out the remaining stake?
Yeah, I mean, look, it's a good asset. It's even the 56% of Juanicipio is a very good asset in the Fresnillo portfolio. We haven't had discussions. You know, I look at what's happened in the silver space, particularly single asset mines in Mexico, silver mines in Mexico, and you've seen the transaction of Gatos, well, the impending transaction of Gatos and Silvercrest. There were 3, high grade, very attractive single silver assets in Mexico. We're the last one standing. So, I don't really comment much on M&A, but to think people aren't looking would be naive, right? But that's good for us. I
Yeah.
mean, let's just keep nailing it. The operations reliably now delivered fantastic production for 4 quarters in a row. Great costs, great margin, lots of cash coming back to Vancouver. So we just stick to our knitting, look for opportunities to continue to refine and optimize and gain efficiencies at Juanicipio, because you know what, you can't have too much of this stuff. The better you make the margin, the better it is for the company.
So you guys have built up quite a cash position. You guys are bringing cash flow into the company.
Yep.
What's the plan to do with all the cash that you're building up?
Yeah, so at the end of the quarter here, end of the 3rd quarter, we ended up with 103 million US. We probably want to just get that to 120 mark. That gives us a nice runway to sort of run our business, not taking undue risk about Mexico, the country, and jurisdictional risks, those sort of things. We don't control the cash flow, the operator does. I mean, we work very well there, but I think it's good insurance to just have a little bit of extra cash on the balance sheet because of that. And capital allocation is probably the biggest conversation in the company at the moment. You know, we've put a NCIB in place. I'm sure you'll find as we go forward, there'll be utilization at the right times of that share buyback program. We certainly would like to get to a position where we can reward our loyal long-term shareholders with dividends. And we'll be making those decisions coming through into 2025. We have 2 exploration properties. Like what the exploration of Juanicipio is funded out of cash flow. We only pay 44% of it. It's sort of minimist in terms of the drain on cash flow. We spend on average about $10 million a year at our Deer Trail property in Utah. We spent 23 million Canadian over 2 years because we did a flow through raise, but just a placeholder is 10 million in exploration there. And, $20 million, we're bringing back a lot of cash. We have to do something with the cash. So, the capital allocation to shareholders is something that's really top of mind for us at the moment.
So you guys also optioned out your Cinco de Mayo project to Apollo.
Yeah.
What drove
Yeah.
you guys to this decision?
We really liked that asset geologically. In 2012, there was some extortion and disruption at the local ejido, who, after many years of drilling that property, they sort of did a 180 and so let's say wouldn't permit us to go on the property to drill. So we got into you know, a number of years of negotiating and trying to get back on the ground. It was very difficult to sort of ascertain what the real issues were. But the bottom line is we couldn't get back on the ground. And so we felt that, as these things go on for such a period of time, they get a life of their own. And I think we realised that people didn't even know why we were talking about coming back on the ground and what they were arguing about, why they didn't want us there. It needed a new face. And so we believe that the people at Apollo have a pedigree record in being able to execute on the ground in Mexico. They're very socially adept. They're very respectful of people. They do well, and they're technically very competent. So I think we've put it into good hands. And, I think what's really important, like in MAG, Cinco de Mayo is a very pivotal asset to Apollo, and hence they're going to give it a really good shot. So my view is watch the space.
I got to sneak in a question here about the new president in Mexico, Claudia Sheinbaum.
Yep.
What's your read on her and what she's going to mean for mining investors in Mexico?
Well, I'll qualify this with early days. It is early days, right? But I've actually had some meetings with high-ranking people in her administration, and I think there's recognition in this new administration in Mexico that there probably needs to be a little more done to encourage foreign investment, particularly in the mining sector. There's recognition from some of the people I've talked to that, permits were very difficult. We've got to try and change that. Steve, put it this way. I thought it was going to be, different person, same thing, with Claudia Sheinbaum coming in. But from the people I've talked to, the rhetoric is very positive, and there seems to be a willingness to at least change things a little, which is always good, but time will tell, right? Let's see what happens and whether, permits start to be granted again, and where the mining law changes of May of last year, whether they actually get enacted and what that means. And I think it's a show me story. You say you want to encourage foreign investment, that's great, but there has to be some structural changes to things to permit that to happen.
Okay, George, last question for you here. You
mate.
guys have become a pretty hot story here with the silver community, and there's probably gonna be a lot of people watching this video to kind of get some insights on the company. Over the next year, if I'm an investor in Meg Silver or I'm watching you guys and doing my due diligence, what should I be looking out for from the company?
Well, I think you'll find, over the course of next year, we'll continue to build on really strong operating performance at Juanicipio and good cash, good costs. And I think that's sort of embedded in the share price now. But it builds a very robust company. We are pretty excited about the way we're approaching exploration at Juanicipio with Fresnillo. We're very excited about, what we're seeing at our Larder project in Ontario and some of the results coming from the drilling in Deer Trail. So I think big needle movers for us will be things like discoveries at those three properties. So, during the course of that, I don't really want to commit to it. Certainly the first half, hopefully, but not committal, the first quarter of next year, we'd like to actually inform investors about what we think we're onto at both Deer Trail and Larder on an exploration perspective. and take people through a teaching where we really share all the data, share our theories, and just show what the prize is here and how we're going to go and find it. And I think that'll be encouraging for a lot of people to see. Um, yeah, I think 2024 has been a phenomenal year. 2025 will start to see capital allocation decisions, which I hope shareholders appreciate. But 25 is going to be a big year as well.
Well, George, thanks very much for hopping on here today. Like I said, you guys are becoming one of those stories that I think that a lot of the retail investors out there are really starting to follow. And hopefully, as you guys continue to roll out on your strategy and everything you're doing, and that exploration at Deer Trail and Larder,
Yeah.
you can come back on here and update our audience about what Meg Silver's got going on.
Love to do it, Steve, because, we're very well held institutionally, but we really value retail shareholders. And the more people that you can help spread the story to, the better for everyone. So thank you.
Thanks, George.
All right. Have a good day.
All right, everybody. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this interview, please smash that like button, subscribe, and ring that notification bell. Folks, also let us know what you think in the comment section. Thanks, everyone.